Hello everybody, my name is Ostentatious24 and welcome to a prequel episode to Legend ZA, I guess. I figured I might as well do... I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. I'm gonna try doing something, oh god, oh my god, I'm awful at this. Why am I being awful at this? Oh my god, I've been doing this for 2 years. What is wrong with me? Ow! Okay, wake up. Alright, there we go. Jesus Christ. Alright, so, after I smack myself... Alright. So, Legend ZA, it's releasing relatively around the time of this being uploaded. I am not going to be recording it immediately because, well, it's going to be a few days until I get it. First and foremost. But then secondly, I'm also going to hold back on episodes and save them for November because that's RPG month. So they'll start airing sometime early November. I'm going to try to record it as much as I can in as few sittings as possible, as few recording sessions, and then, like I've done with the visual novels, I'll try to break them up at what I feel like is the best times to cut the episodes into parts, maybe. Then we'll upload them relatively like that, I think, maybe. We'll see. So yeah, look forward to that. I've been teasing it all over the place in, various things, and the last 2 Pokemon trailers I did, one in September, and then one this month. And then, yeah, in that I also teased something else, but we'll get into that whenever that happens. And yeah, this is also taking the place of Explorers of Sky, I guess. At the same time, I wanted to give the Mystery Dungeon series a break, because it's been a year and we're still on Red Rescue Team, but it's, for the most part, done, so it's not like... we don't have that much left, but so I still want to give it a break, and then we'll save Explorers of Sky most likely for next November, next year, 2026. But also, okay, I can talk about that. I am avoiding spoilers at all costs, which is going to be very hard to do because several YouTube videos, several other content creators are just all over the place, in their thumbnails, in the titles, they're just splattering it all over the place. Spoilers, and I'm like, that's not cool. And even before the game was out, people were getting it like a day or two ahead of the actual release, which I get it, and especially because you're probably being supported by Nintendo to promote their stuff. That's cool, that's fine, I'm not against that, but you gotta have the wherewithal, the mental fortitude, capacity, the foresight, that's the word I'm looking for, foresight, to not spoil crap for people! Jesus Christ! So I'm trying to avoid spoilers as best I can. I haven't even seen Megas outside of the trailers, and then I got spoiled to 4 because of, again, some other YouTuber. I won't name names, but it's common sense. People just, why? Why would you do that? I'm not going to put spoilers too much in my thumbnails. Kind of like what I did with Shadow Generations. I'll include screenshots, but I'll try to keep them as spoiler-free as possible. Maybe one of my mascots, Mana, the witch girl who's in various dresses, or Sakura outfit, or nurse outfit, or maybe I'll include my Pokemon mascot on occasion, who's popped up a couple times in Mystery Dungeon episodes. Maybe they'll be like, oh, there's a special thing happening in this episode. Maybe they'll say something like that in the thumbnail. Otherwise, I'll try to keep it on the down low as much as possible, because it's not cool and it's not fair to other people. I hate it when that's done to me, and I would hate to do that to someone else. Even if it's a game from several years ago. Like, I even did that with the Mystery Dungeon episodes. I tried to keep it spoiler-free as possible in various thumbnails. if I went around and if I get around to playing a Zelda game, I don't know, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, something for RPG month November, I'm not gonna label all over the place that, oh, well, look, it's Ganondorf, he's here, oh, whoa, he's gonna blow up the universe or something. I try to keep as spoiler-free as possible, even if it's an older game, just because you never know what people are gonna come across your videos. You just never know, and it could be a newer generation of fans in said franchise that aren't exposed to that stuff, the spoilers and stuff. Like, where the Princess Zelda dies in Ocarina of Time. Oh God, I don't know, something like that. Or I was trying to think of something. There's one specific spoiler in Ocarina of Time, but I'm like, oh, that would immediately go against what I just said if I dropped that bomb there, even though everybody and their brother knows it at this point. I shouldn't say that one. So yeah, I'll try to be as spoiler-free as possible in all my thumbnails. And I feel like there's a couple other things I had to say surrounding that, but I don't remember what. So yeah, I guess that's what to expect. Oh, damn it, duh, that's the most important thing. I'm going to save my hellos and goodbyes for the beginning and end cards, like how I usually have a welcome sign for the first, 3 to 5 seconds of a video. I'm gonna include the, hello, my name is Ostentatious24 and welcome to blah, 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 in that, and then same with, the goodbyes and stuff. I'll tack them on right after the video and before the outro. I just like to do that because it's me being polite to all of you lovely lads and ladies. It's me being a good content creator, right? But at the same time, I think I want to handle Legend ZA a little differently from my other videos. At least to the best of my ability. And I want to do this when we get around to revisiting the older games in the franchise, which we'll be talking about mid-November. I'm going to have a voting thing and ask you guys and gals what you might want to see concerning those. Red, blue, green, yellow, gold, silver, crystal, ruby, sapphire, emerald, fire, red, leaf, green, diamond, pearl, platinum, all the way up to the recent games. All of the games in the main series. We're going to talk about that mid-November. But at the same time, when I do tackle those, and by extension, when I tackle those, and for how I'm going to tackle Legend ZA, I want to try to make it as I don't know, I know this might sound cringe, but as headcanon as possible, I guess. I want to be an avatar. I want to actually self-insert and put myself in the role and make it be my own journey through the Kalos region, through Legend ZA. So I'm going to try to handle it that way. Like, it's a first-person perspective, I guess. Talking in my own head or something, maybe. I thought that might be fun and a unique way to tackle this game, and then at the same time, I feel like a lot of other content creators aren't going to do this. So maybe it'll be a fun, unique idea in that. Excuse me. Maybe it'll be a fun way in that, and unique aspect in that sense, for you to, then it creates even for your own playthroughs, it'll create a different and a unique sense of going through the game. You're witnessing it through my eyes rather than your own, or from another YouTuber's perspective. I thought that might be, God, I'm repeating myself. I get this way when my ADHD is just off to the races. To make sure I cover everything, I end up repeating myself because I don't know what I've said and what I haven't said. But yes, to make it as fun and unique of an experience as possible for you guys and gals. So, and then yes, by extent, I'm going to try to do the same whenever we get around to the other mainline games. I initially kind of started that way with the Red Rescue Team, but then it kind of devolved into not being that way, so I'll try the best I can, but at the same, I'm going to try to do it the best I can, but at the same time, I can't think of the right words. Bear with me. There we go. Bear with me if I don't do that. If I break the fourth wall, I'll try to I'll try to do that. I'll try to Deadpool it. I'll try to play it off like I'm breaking the fourth wall. Oh, you saw that, right? Huh? What? You? I'm talking to you behind the camera? Oh, that's weird. Oh, my favorite gag from the first movie. A fourth wall inside a fourth wall? That's like 16 walls. Oh my god. So yeah, I'll try to do the best I can with this. I've also been trying to do that with the Left 4 Dead videos. It's a little harder, especially because I'm playing with other people, but then the other people aren't using the mic, so it's a little iffy. I'm like, well, I gotta keep the conversation going somehow, but I'm talking myself. So yeah, that's what to expect for Legends EA whenever we get around to it. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. I can't promise November 1st, but relatively around there, maybe. And I don't know if there's going to be specific days I'm going to air it as of yet. Maybe 2 videos a week, we'll see, and then go about a kind of structure that way. I don't know, maybe. Probably in the evenings, well, at least for my time zone, my usual time stamps. I think that's about it. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to talk about. To that extent, also, there are going to be specific terms and rules I go about handling this, which I'm also going to get into whenever I play the mainline games. For myself personally, I have 4 rules I go by. First off, I've lost my train of thought. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay. No new Pokemon. I never use... only new Pokemon. That was backwards. I never use old Pokemon. For example, if I use Pidgeot in Red version, then I'm not going to use Pidgeot in Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum. That's a bad example. Gold, Silver, Crystal. Pidgeys are all over the damn place. Just as much as Hoots. I'm not going to use a Pidgey in a Johto playthrough. But I might end up using a Pidgey again in a Fire Red Leaf Green playthrough because that's my Kanto journey, right? And Pidgey's one of my favorite Pokemon. Pidgeot specifically, but you get the gist. So yeah, I never use a Pokemon twice. Kind of like how Ash was in the anime. It's the idea of creating new bonds with new Pokemon, making new favorites, even if they're bad Pokemon. Like I had a male Salandit in my Alola journey through Sun, and it sucks. It sucks. But I had this whole little backstory of, hey, it was exercise. That's not the right word. It was kicked out of its clan by the other Salandits and its Queen Salazzle, and Salazzle made me uncomfortable. So I liked Salandit. I liked its ability, and I wanted to use a Salandit, so I just used a male. So yeah. So I'm not going to use any other Pokemon I've used previously in any of the other games. Not that I want to spoil it too much. But at the same time, we go into Rule 3, which is, if it evolves from an existing Pokemon, then that is the exception. For example, if I used Eevee and got a Flareon in a Kanto playthrough in Red version, then I wouldn't be able to use Flareon in a Johto or a Sinnoh playthrough. But I could use Umbreon in a Johto playthrough, or I could use Glaceon in a Sinnoh playthrough. As long as I haven't used that evolution before, then I can use it in the next thing. Again, to create more variety, more friends. I know as cheesy and cringe as that sounds. Create more bonds and all that stuff. Blah, blah, make more new favorites and all that. So, to that extent, don't expect Charizard, because that's one of my favorite Pokemon. I've used it before. Unfortunately, that means no Gardevoir, because I used it on Legends Arceus. If I'd known, I would have saved that for this, because I love Gardevoir now because of Legends Arceus. It was my main Pokemon. She was awesome and wonderful and did so many broken things and just backhanded the final bosses. Oh my god, she was so busted. And now there's a Mega and I can't Mega evolve it because I can't use it again. But at the same time, I've never used Gallade on a run. Well, actually, technically I did in BDSP because I couldn't use Rhyperior or Glaceon. So I don't know if I'm getting... I'll cut Gallade out. Okay, we won't count Gallade, even though it's a remake. Even though it sucked, I'm not going to count Gallade. It was used once already, blah, blah, blah. I have not used Greninja. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm good. I wanted to include Shiny Greninja in this because I love my protein Shiny Greninja that I hatched and bred and raised back in X version. I didn't use it on any teams though, that's the thing. So I was planning on hatching and transferring over a Shiny Froakie into Legends ZA so that I could experience it with that starter. In X version I used Fennekin, so I wouldn't be able to use Fennekin in my ZA playthrough. I wouldn't be able to get Mega Delphox. Unfortunately, and that goes into the point of this, I don't think I'm going to use my Greninja unless Bond Greninja, excuse me, unless Ash Greninja is in the game. I'm not going to freaking use Shiny Mega Greninja on my playthrough. Of which, okay, that is a slight spoiler, I guess, but at the same time, it was in one of the trailers. My apologies for that if you don't watch the trailers, but it was in a trailer, so it's not a massive spoiler. But yeah, I have to talk about it a little bit, because honestly, I don't like how they handled this. They put it behind a Nintendo Switch Online exclusive, battle mode that is also PvP, and that's just several layers of what the hell. Why would you do that? Why? People have wanted megas of these. It's their region. Why would you put them behind all those walls? I'm not a competitive player here. That makes up barely half the fan base. No offense to any competitive players. It's a big part of the fan base. But the main draw to Pokemon is always going to be the RPG and the collecting elements. And it feels like they've been leaning away from that for a couple games. It felt that way in Sword and Shield, and I'm wondering if that's why the story was just kind of mid and bad and stuff. The Legends Arceus, though, didn't have a competitive, but at the same time it was half-baked because they kind of rushed it. BDSP was kind of whatever. Scarlet and Violet felt a little more back into its RPG roots and less. But then they also had the raid battles, which is like, it still relies on other players because otherwise you can't beat them because they're too strong. It's just, raid battles are the way an RPG goes when they have no good ideas for powerhouse bosses. It's like, it's such a generic, easy difficulty setting that's honestly not really necessary, and they can tend to make them too hard or too easy, and then it's just I don't like raids. I really don't. It's fine in certain mobile games because that's about the only way you can handle certain boss enemies, but in a mainline series, it's like that's kind of not okay. It's just not great. And I think they're bringing raids back for this to an extent. I saw in one of the trailers, maybe, of Mega Dragonite fighting a Mega Tyranitar. So, I don't know. I shouldn't complain about stuff. That's not what this video is about. My apologies. But yes, point being, I just derailed. I'm terribly sorry about that. Point being, I wanted to use Greninja on my ZA playthrough, and I don't see myself doing that. So that's scratch one out for my Kalos team. I think I've mentioned it before, that I'm going to use Totodile because, again, I haven't used Totodile before on any playthrough. I love Totodile. It's my favorite water starter, and one of my favorite water types in general, like Suicune and maybe one other Pokemon I can't remember off the top of my head. Or I like more, maybe, but I've never been able to use it because Typhlosion's my buddy. Silver was my first game, and Cyndaquil was my first starter. It's not my favorite starter, but I love my Cyndaquil. Whenever I do a Johto playthrough, I'm gonna have a Cyndaquil. Whenever I play Silver Gold, Crystal, Heart Gold, or Soul Silver, I'm gonna use a Cyndaquil. Which kind of sucks because I love Totodile. He's an adorable little alligator boy. So yeah, I'm really excited to use Feraligatr finally on a team. And I have no idea what else I'm going to use. I had 2 other ideas. And I don't think there's any brand new Pokemon. It doesn't seem like they're doing any... Like with Legends EA, they had new evolutions like Weirdeer, and then they had regionals like Zoroark. That was something else I was going to talk about. Oh my god. I forgot about that. For another example, because Hisui was quote-unquote a remake, but also not. It was a new game, but it was also in an existing region, but it's also not an existing region. Because of all that confusing, complicated shenanigans of time travel and all that stuff. For that team, I used 3 older Pokemon that are from older regions that I'd never used before, and I used 3 brand new Pokemon exclusive to Legends Arceus, which was Hisui and Typhlosion, Weirdeer, and then Hisui and Zoroark. And then I'd never used a Garchomp before. I'd never used a... I know, weird, right? Everybody loves Garchomp. But I have not, I swear. Whenever we get to Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum, I will show you my team that I've used. Depending on the version, because some Pokemon are in Diamond that aren't in Platinum, etc., etc. Who are the other 2? Not Staraptor, that's on my Diamond Platinum team. Garchomp. Gardevoir. And I can't believe I forgot my Gardevoir. Oh my god. Gushing about her so much and then I forget her. Who was the 6th member? Luxray! There, Luxray. That's right. I'd never used a Luxray before. So yeah, that was my team for Legends Arceus. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like they're going to have any brand new Pokemon for ZA. So because that's also a stipulation. I try to keep to their region exclusive. So like, even though I've never used a Kangaskhan on any playthrough, I'm still not likely to use a Kangaskhan in a Johto game, or a Hoenn game, or a Sinnoh game, because that's not its home region. I'm going to go out of my way to get Pokemon that are exclusive to the new region. That's the whole thing with my first rule. I try to keep to their home native region. But at the same time, if they evolve into a new Pokemon, then we get into Rule 3. But then at the same time, with some games like Legends Arceus, I had to split up and use pre-existing ones that aren't technically... Like, Gardevoir's home region is Hoenn, but at the same time, I'd never used her before, and I wanted to, and I hope I'm getting that across, and hopefully that makes sense. I should just wrap it up. Point being, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any regionals, so they're going to be all 6 pre-existing Pokemon, but to my best ability, I will try to use Kalos exclusive Pokemon that are native to the Kalos region, that call it their home. But, for example, I might end up using an Ampharos on a team, because I've never used an Ampharos in a previous playthrough. That's another one I'm leaning heavy on, and I won't spoil it anymore. But that's kind of the gist of how I think I'm going to handle going about this. This is just a preemptive video to make you aware of what is going to be happening and how I'm going to try to structure Legends ZA in our run through it. So I think that's about all I said. all I needed to say? All I wanted to say? I don't know. And I'd say I could use Chestnut, but then it runs into the same problem. I know I'd be doubling up on a water type, but at the same time, I don't use water types too much. Really sucks. Really sucks. I'm not... I want to get those starter megas, but I don't see myself getting them unless they do a mystery gift at a later date to give them, because that just sucks. I don't like PvP. I play it for the RPG and collecting elements. That's what, like, every player plays it for. Even the competitive people, they have to do that to some extent. You have to play through the main game, and you have to raise your Pokemon to be the best Pokemon breeder you can, so then you can be the best competitive player you can. You gotta go through all those hoops beforehand. You play Pokemon for the RPG aspects. Not everyone plays it for the competitive battle aspects. You play Pokemon mostly for the... It's... Oh, God. Trip over my tongue. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, and this isn't to hate on competitive players. I don't want to stir up trouble or anything. It's just, that's just not my way of playing Pokemon, and that's like the majority of players don't play it for their competitive aspect. And even then, even though like half of the fan base is competitive, it's still technically a niche, because it's even those players play it for the collecting and RPG aspects. And then at the same time, this is what I said when we watched the trailer. I have been wanting to see a Battle Revolution Stadium equivalent for the competitive players, which they freaking finally did in, what is it called? Pokemon Champions? Yeah, Pokemon Champions. I thought this would be the point of Pokemon Champions, that it was solely for the competitive players, and yet they're putting a competitive exclusive special unique Pokemon behind a wall. It's like, why would you do that? Why? Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to Champions 2. I'll dabble in that as well, probably, but like, it's not going to be my main draw. Unless they have a non-PvP mode, like in Battle Revolution they had kind of like a Battle Frontier aspect to it, which is a good way to integrate people and have them test the waters. And this is what I said about that back then in the trailer, is it'd be a good way to try to get the normal players, the collecting players, and the RPG players that play the Pokemon in all those little areas to dabble a little bit in the competitive aspect. It'd be a good way to mesh and meld the different parts of the fan base into one big game. And it's not to kick the competitive players out of the main series games. That'd be wrong in its own right too. I'm not saying to do that either. It's just it sucks that they did it that way. Like, why? I'm not gonna do that. So don't expect a Mega Greninja, unfortunately, a Mega Shiny Greninja, especially because I wanted to use my Shiny Protein Greninja Kage that I and then I can't use Delphox because I used it before in X, and even if I wanted to use Chestnut, I can't for the same reasons. So, I have used Charizard before, obviously. I haven't used... No, it'd be wrong to use Blastoise or Venusaur. Yeah, no. Okay, so yeah. Since I'm not using any of the Kylo starters, I'm probably not going to end up using any other stars. I'll try to make a team of 6 with only Feraligatr, and then we'll see where that goes from there. I should wrap this up. This is getting to be almost half an hour. I'm wasting too much time talking about needless and all sorts of other different things. So, that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're looking forward to this because I am, and I hope you have a lovely day and or evening. And until next time, whatever it is I may do, I hope to see you then. Farewell!